I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Two tight end set up for the Packers, and Favre back to throw his first one. Going deep, has a man open. Andre Rison does the dance in, and Favre got settled down in a hurry.
That is a way to settle down. You know, sometimes they think you have to start with short passes. I always said when you got a strong arm guy and you want to settle him down and he's anxious, just show it, throw a deep one. That's exactly what they did.
Our trip down memory lane continues. Brett Favre's first pass. Literally, the first time he stepped back to pass in Super Bowl 31. Yep. Oh, look, Andre Rison.
Andre Rison.
Summerall, Madden, the good old days.
Oh.
That's number 3, the third trophy that exists here at 1265 Lombardi Avenue, Lambeau Field, as we have today and tomorrow before Super Bowl 60 weekend is officially here. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome in Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Chime in today. So much to talk about. The Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line, 414-677-1250. We have so much to catch up on and so much to preview for you. So let's jump in.
Packers.
Goody talked a lot, like almost 40 full minutes of Brian Gutekunst yesterday, his end of season press conference. There's not much he didn't cover, if anything, frankly. I didn't hear, or I guess I should say I wasn't looking for something he didn't talk about. He covered every square inch of the Packers season, the injuries, the offense, the defense, even down to specific players, contracts, why continuity matters in terms of him and Russ Ball and LaFleur coming back. He talked about why he doesn't believe running it back is the way he would describe it. That's what this sounded like.
Really would ever term anything run it back. Every year is a new year. It's its own year. So certainly in the National Football League right now, particularly with the coaching changes and player movement, every year is a different year, and this will be no different. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but really excited about Jonathan Gannon and the people we're going to be bringing in to kind of fill the role that Jeff Hafley had here last year, which is our big shoes to fill. But really excited for him and his new opportunity. But no, I think every year kind of is on its own, and we got to start from the beginning. And we got to build our foundation, and then I think take a long look at some of the things that we haven't been doing the last 2 years and try to be better there.
When I was screaming for patience, Josh, I was very clear that there was going to be a lot of change. It may just not be change that the Packers decide on changing, yet Hafley and the strength and conditioning team and so many people within the coaching staff aren't going to be here. Plus, players come and players go. So to Goody's point, it's not running it back in his mind. This next 2026 Green Bay Packers team is going to be very different.
I don't know how different it's truly going to be, if I'm being honest. And I also think that it's funny. It's saying to Goody running it back. Goody is part of why it's running it back, right? So the running it back is that's the term that you throw at Ed Policy, right? Because Ed Policy was the one that threw out the extensions for the big three, being Goody, Ball, and LaFleur. And so Goody doesn't have to call it running it back, but the fact that he's still there with LaFleur and Ball, those three are running it back.
Yeah, the top three for sure. And he talked about what that meant to the organization in terms of continuity. And he came out, flat out said why he thought Matt LaFleur was the right move. Listen, they look at football differently than we as fans do. And so there's a part of me yesterday that watched that press conference and went, all right, let's just move forward. And Goody even said real early on in the press conference, not yet. Yes, forward, but a lot of backwards as well. So the season is in review, to say the least, over at Lombardi Avenue. The review is heavy in the wide receivers room. There's a lot of talent there, and Goody talked yesterday in his presser that there were hard decisions that were going to need to be made on who stays and who goes in terms of free agency and or just not being able to keep them all. Jason Wilde, Packers beat writer, asked specifically about the 2022 draft class, and he had marvelous things to say about that year, and it's going to be very difficult. We caught wind that Romeo Doubs was on a show yesterday. Here's what he had to say about staying in Green Bay.
Nah, man, that's just me being as authentic as I can be.
Being real.
Yeah, bro, because, again, like, as much as I want to be there, you know, we all, like, everybody, like, I'm not going to say everybody dumb, but we aware of the situation. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows our situation. There's a bunch of receivers in that room, and everybody in that room can go, bro. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And again, that's just, you know, that's just part of this league, bro.
Just part of the league, bro.
That's it.
It is a commodity. They're commodities. And I was talking with my wife about this yesterday, reminiscing about being friends with some of the guys when we first moved to Green Bay, 2007, 2008, 2009 timeframe. And there is a huge human element to this in regard to the players and their families and moving and all the things that go into being a professional athlete. Hell, it happened to my brother. I chased down Ryan Tollefson when Brady was playing at UW-Whitewater and got him to be his agent. We sent him tape. We did everything that you would need to do for my brother to get the best looks possible. It was a random Monday, I believe. On a Monday evening, Ryan called me. Not that I was Brady's representative. He was, but I was the one that made the connection. And he goes, hey, we signed him to the Calgary Stampeders. He leaves tomorrow. Boom.
Yeah.
Game-changing, away they go. They're commodities. It happened with Brian Braum when he got cut. He was on the Packers practice squad. Really close friend of mine. Still talk to him to this day. Boom. He was gone to Buffalo the very next day. So there's a huge human element. And to Romeo Doubs' point, there's a business element to this. And unfortunately, the players are the commodity. They're the tradable, signable, cuttable commodity. It's just hard for guys like Romeo Doubs to process that, I think. And he did a good job there of saying there's two sides to this. There's the football side and the business side.
Yeah, I think that Doubs really was – he couldn't just come out and say, yeah, no, I'm not going back. There's a bunch of guys there. But essentially, that's what he said, right? Like, I think it's something that a lot of the fan base was well aware of, and so it was easy for him to say everyone's aware of our situation. But that's what he's referring to, right? What makes those pieces more valuable is if you don't have as many of them, or if you are the top of those. And so if you have a bunch of wide receivers that can all, as he says, that can all go, okay, then they're all at a level playing field, but your time, you know, your number was called. So
maybe he's a free agent. So that's not to say that the Packers won't sign him back as a free agent.
I think he knows he's going to be able to make more money elsewhere.
Maybe. Look at the room. Was there one or two people that really stood out at the top of that class where you might not class, but in the top of that room that you might be able to go, all right, actually, we want him back and any one of these guys?
No.
Romeo Doubs is at least in the top two. And so as the Packers assess that room, they're going to have to decide who stays, who goes, and there's going to be some really, really hard decisions.
Yeah.
Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, maybe not. Even there was talk and conversation about Reed somehow ending up in Pittsburgh, even though there's no real history with him and Rodgers. Dobbs, Matthew Golden, Goody talked about him yesterday. It's the off season for the Packers, and those decisions are in front of us as we speak. The morning mind dump is filled with the Brian Gutekunst breakdown from his end of season presser. That's at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. Your reaction on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. If you watched it, what'd you think? What were you looking for? And maybe what didn't you hear that you were hoping you were going to? As we play catch-up, on to the Brewers. Josh, it is not next Tuesday. It is not a Tuesday in XYZ number of weeks. It is this Tuesday. Pitchers and catchers report February 10th. The first workout is on Wednesday next week, and the first full squad workout is February 17th. So dates in the future, for sure. And this Tuesday, Brewers baseball is back.
Thank the Lord. Praise the Lord. Been looking at that calendar. You know, it's reaching the time of the season here where you go, I know it's cold. I know I live in Wisconsin, but I'm done with the cold. Okay, done. And when you hear, hey, pitchers and catchers, you can't help but smile because you know baseball.
We're here.
We're here. Let's go.
But until then, more basketball too.
Badgers.
At Indiana on Saturday, 11 a.m. Central. They are 16-6 overall, 8-3 in the Big Ten. We'll see if we can't track down Brad Davison during the travels at some point tomorrow. We'll shoot him a message and go, hey, buddy. No Mike Heller surprise this morning, but just wanted to check in on how things are going. 3 out of their next 4 are on the road, but 'tis the season now to get thy ducks in a row so that you position yourself well for the conference tournament and even better for the NCAA tournament as well. Also, we'll get to it. Badgers, yeah, but there's more basketball to come. So hang tight. Bucks next.
Bucks.
Big dub for the Bucks last night. And I know that you are, well, that's what I was saying. And I know that you are unsure on where you land on whether the Bucks should have victories or not. And, oh, yeah, there's a trade deadline.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, that's the big thing today. I've got my Giannis jersey on today because you never know. It's either going to be I'm wearing the Giannis jersey on the last day that he's a Milwaukee Buck, or I'm wearing it to celebrate the fact that he's still a Milwaukee Buck. We'll see. But the Bucks played last night. We're going to talk about it in the 7 o'clock hour about just figuring out where we're at as a fan base through the rest of the season. You know, it was, okay, no, tank. And then it was, well, I don't know. Now they've won 2 in a row. And that was fun. It's fun to see your team win. It's very confusing. It's very interesting. It's not something we've had to deal with a whole lot in Wisconsin sports as of late. But we're dealing with it now.
And the draft layout in terms of tanking and what that pick could mean is very confusing. Josh and I will attempt to break that down for you in the 7 o'clock hour. And frankly, we're not even sure how to process what it is that is our first round pick in 2026 for the Bucks, what's not, who ends up with it. New Orleans is in the mix. Atlanta somehow gets their hands in the cookie jar. There's a lot going on for the Milwaukee Bucks, and all of it really could come down to the next. I mean, I was told there would be no math. 8, 6, 4, like what, 8 hours?
Yep, 8 hours.
It's wild.
Crazy.
Stay tuned.
Anything else?
Yeah. Oh, there's more. Our guys at UWGB had one hell of a finish last night. This is what it sounded like.
Reedinger looking for his move. He'll call his own number, and he'll knock it down with 0.2 seconds left on the clock. And Green Bay is going to get out of here with an overtime victory.
Green Bay did Green Bay things all game long. And right at the end in overtime, Preston Reedinger, who, by the way, flu game. He had a Jordan flu game.
Yeah, he was
leading
sick.
scorer? No, but really, really sick. CJ O'Hara, a season-high 23. Marcus Hall had 15. Rudy, three-pointer, 0.2 seconds left on the clock. 87-84 in overtime. GB men's basketball needed that W.
Yeah, and it was just it's awesome to see that Rudy was the one that hit it too. Like you said, especially with him being sick and still coming up clutch. You know, I know how much DG really appreciates having a kid like him on the team. And so that was cool. That was cool that it was him. I mean, obviously it's great that the team won. I like winning in our state. And I like seeing W's on the calendar. So that was big, but the way that it happened too. And it also, like, anytime I see something like that, it gets me the butterflies for March. I'm still here and I'm going, oh yeah, March Madness, baby, college basketball, let's go.
I texted Gottlieb last night and said, Rudy effing Reedinger. And he texted something back, one-word answer, like unbelievable or something like that. And then I said, and I quote, "I hope you broke a clipboard in your celebration."
For completely selfish reasons.
He did not. At least he said nope. And I don't think if I wasn't on the bench last weekend, I don't know that we'd know about the first one. So
I
not
don't
that I
think we
don't
would.
trust him. I do. Real close friend. And I don't think he broke one in celebration. But boy, do I wish he did. And yes, absolutely selfish reasons. That involves steak. Marquette plays this weekend as well on Saturday, 11 a.m. ESPN has them down. Butler is their opponent. 8-15 overall, 3-9 in the Big East. Anything else on your radar, Josh?
Just that, obviously we see more and more things coming out on the trade deadline. The big trade that happened in the NBA was in regards to how it ties back to Wisconsin. Chris Middleton, who's probably looking for the buyout, but now he was traded from the Wizards to Dallas, and no one is expecting him to stay there. But it was interesting seeing Middleton's name. We also saw Pat Connaughton has been waived. There are all these people talking about bringing the guys back together. I'm like, I don't know that that's the right call. Let's all pump the brakes there.
Well, remind me why Middleton's not a Buck anymore.
Well, Middleton was moved. I don't even remember. Who did we get for Middleton?
But traded, right?
Yes. He was traded.
When he was traded yesterday, there was a lot of chatter to your point about, well, why didn't Milwaukee get him? Been there, done that.
Well, but also the conversation was always about, like, they moved Middleton for salary reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So if Middleton was to ever come back to the Bucks, it wouldn't have been in a trade. It would have been like, a buyout, end of the season. Something else would have been the case. So didn't expect to see that news, but also didn't expect him to be a part of a trade, that included Anthony Davis and man, the whole thing with Luka, and it's crazy.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law fan talk and text line. The 360 says, Bucks, another W. Now, Deer Nation counts down the final hours to await if MVP Giannis is going to be dealt out of Milwaukee. The 920 says, big win for GB last night. All three teams ahead of them lost last night as well. A big one on Saturday afternoon at the Resch Center. Indeed, GB is home this weekend against Detroit Mercy, who is below GB in conference standings, if I do remember correctly. 11 a.m. at the Resch Center is that game. I should be there for that one. The 920 on some Goody feedback.
Yeah, I love this.
What do you got?
It says, you would have thought after listening to Goody that Green Bay would have finished 15-2, won the North, and made it to the NFC Championship game instead of how they actually finished. Disappointing. I don't know if you remember, Trevor, yesterday when I said, all right, everyone out there, now remember, Goody's a really good PR wordsmith. He's not going to give you anything that's going to make you go, thank you. See, I knew it. That's just not what he does. And so I get what you're saying. It does when you're landed of optimism. It does. Well, but I'm saying, like, he was never going to go out there and say, like, yeah, this guy sucks. I don't know why he's still here. He won't be for long. Pack your bags. So, that's definitely part of it. Listen, 920, there were some things that were said by Goody yesterday that frustrated me too. We'll talk about it in the morning mind dump. You'll want to stick around for that.
Kirsten from GB, the GB game was so fun to watch last night. Really, really agree. The 920 also says really liked DG's post-game comments on the court. Annie and Oconomowoc, Josh, I woke up this morning and had the same thought. I'm going to wear my Giannis jersey today. Great minds think alike.
There you go, Annie.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law fan talk and text line. Keep your reaction coming. A jam-packed show today. By the way, 8 a.m.
Yep.
Former Packers general manager Ron Wolf here on Inside Wisconsin Sports, talking to him about the upcoming Super Bowl that features his son, Elliott Wolf, and one of his proteges, John Schneider in Seattle. When we come back, I have questions, as do you and as does Josh. The main one we're trying to process today is, what does it mean to be a casual fan of sports? We'll unpack that next, get your answers and your questions as we continue on live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Good morning, Wisconsin.
That's where you like the nature of college basketball. Many view it as a 1-month sport. It isn't, but for the casuals who come in and they get beat in the first or second round, it's like, see, look at these guys.
Matt LePay joined us earlier this week here on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, talking about the casual fan that shows up in March and you-rah-rahs, all the things, and the thrill of victory, of course, and the agony of defeat. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back. Inside Wisconsin Sports, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line, 414-677-1250. It's time to ask some questions.
When things just don't add up, Trevor and Josh ask the hard questions or just point out how messed up stuff is.
I only have one question.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
Do you view this season as a failure?
You asked me the same question last year.
What's the most important question the Badgers have to answer Saturday?
This is a great question. Oh my God, this is a great question.
It's time for I Have Questions on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. Very plausible. There are many a question in regard to Brian Gutekunst's press conference yesterday.
There should be.
We have a ton of audio for that coming up in the 7 o'clock hour during the morning mind dump. But if you've got questions, get them in now. We'll attempt to answer them now, and we'll for sure, hopefully, be able to answer them coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. The question that we're processing now, Josh, per Matt LePay, what does it mean to be a casual fan?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think it's difficult because, like, we see it even on this show, right? Of teams that you are passionate about, teams that I'm passionate about, and on the flip side, I don't mind them, but I'm not as in the weeds as you may be, and vice versa. And so I think there's something about being a casual fan. And Matt LePay kind of talked about it in regards to college basketball. To me, that's the biggest one of being a casual fan is college basketball, like across the board. It really seems like, and probably after that NBA, but college basketball specifically gets so ramped up mid-February getting ready for March Madness. And so that's why Matt LePay said that, of just so everyone knows, happens way more than just a month and a half. It's kind of like when you go to church on Easter or Christmas and the priest is like, hey, just so you guys know, we do this every week. I know you're just here. Maybe you're here like twice a year, but just so you know, we do this a lot more. It's kind of the same thing. And it's interesting because I don't know exactly how it changes, how you change it. But being a casual fan, I think, comes with more than it just being you're passionate about a team. You know, I love the Bucks. I love the Badgers. Doesn't mean I'm watching their first couple games of the regular season. I'm not, it's just I'm not into it yet.
The idea of being a casual fan has everything to do with personal connection and time. The vast majority of sports fans are casual fans. Rare is the person, certainly nowhere near the majority, that dives in to a specific team in a specific sport. The 608, I feel left out. Why all the coverage of UWGB basketball? Actually, it's because I'm here in Green Bay and closely affiliated with UWGB basketball. So across the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, there are multiple radio stations. I'm here at WNFL in Green Bay at 99.7. Josh is there in Milwaukee at 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM The Fan. There are people listening in Wausau on 93.9 The Game, Duluth Superior on 710 The Game. And Coach Doug Gottlieb joins us every Wednesday here on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. So that's why so much GB talk. Friend of the program. The program is a friend of the show. And, oh, yeah, they had a crazy buzzer beater victory. But I'm not a casual fan when it comes to UWGB. I am completely in the weeds with GB basketball.
Right. I'm not. Right. I've been to one game in my entire life, and it was very recently with you.
What sport are you in the weeds on, though?
Well, I mean, I would say Brewers and like the baseball, like even though it's 162 games, like I am letting the Brewers affect my mood daily in the summer. Even though I know there's a whole lot of games after that one, I'm still going, do you see the way they lost? You know what? I'm going to bed early tonight. Like all of that can happen to where it's not the same with a lot of other sports. I also think a lot of it has to do with, it all comes back to winning, right? Like, I'm not going to lie. If this show existed last year, I don't know that we'd be talking as much about the UWGB men's basketball team. They struggled. They had to get better. The UWGB team is exciting this year. Their improvement has been crazy different. I mean, it's been like, if you're looking at that stock chart, huge spike from last year. I mean, not that you could go much further down, but it's something to celebrate. So that's another reason why why we look at it. And it's not like we're not focusing on the Badgers and other things happening across the state with other teams. But it's something to celebrate UWGB as well as you're being in the weeds.
Scott from the 262 says the Olympics is definitely a casual fan type sporting event.
For sure.
100%.
You know what?
And yet I'm glued.
World Cup, like soccer.
There you go. Yep.
But how many people are paying attention to anything happening with soccer until it's like, all right, I got a week where I'm caring about soccer. Let's go. Let's see what this team does. And then you end up complaining about them most of the time anyway. That's what it is about being a casual fan.
I, too, am not a casual fan with the Milwaukee Brewers. I am completely in the weeds. I want to watch every game with my guys in my neighborhood. My buddy Andy was over last night. Again, we were reminiscing about what that's like to just sit in his backyard and hang out and watch a Brewers game. A lot of those same guys are getting back together this weekend for the Super Bowl. I'm super jacked about that. I am more in the weeds with the Packers than I've ever been in the past because of what we do for a living. And I am absolutely a casual fan at best with the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA. We had a long conversation about this here in Green Bay yesterday as well, and how in Milwaukee proper, the Milwaukee Bucks are very dominant, very prominent. And in the rest of the state, specifically across the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, not so much.
Well,
there's a lot of casual Bucks fans.
This also goes back to my point on winning, because let me tell you, even in Milwaukee, for a very long time, there were people that would say that they were casual fans of the Milwaukee Bucks because they weren't playing well. And so you didn't want to hop on that bandwagon and get in the weeds. Once Giannis came along and it was a championship caliber team and you knew, hey, a team in my city has a chance to win it all, you find yourself watching more games, learning about more players, getting in the weeds. That's why I'm nervous and going, I hope everyone realizes that if Giannis leaves, you might become a casual Bucks fan again. So a lot of it comes down to winning, but I do think it's interesting with like what LePay said, and why I love that this is the question and I have questions, because I feel like even if the Badgers were really good, a lot of the fan bases across the country just don't really get into it until now. What is it about college basketball that makes us go, yeah? I mean, I'm not really even paying attention or learning the players' names until February.
A lot of games and a lot of details in college basketball. So yesterday we talked to UWGB head men's basketball coach Doug Gottlieb. And Josh and I were chatting after that interview in the break on how Josh's brain kind of went in regard to all the analytics that Doug dove into. I purely love those because I'm a fan of not a casual fan. I am a fan of the strategy of sports. That's why I love baseball. And that's why a lot of people don't. They're bored by the pitching and they're bored by the hitting and the base running. I watch for what pitch is being thrown, who should run when, what is the defense going to do in this situation, what's the plausibility of a bunt, and so on. I went out to lunch yesterday with my buddy Joe, and Joe brought up that very segment unsolicited, Josh, in regard to Doug talking about analytics. And he goes, I loved that. And the reason he loved it is because he didn't know anything about it, because he's a casual college basketball fan at best. But what he did say was he'll now watch college basketball completely differently, looking for some of those things. He didn't know about the under 16, under 12, under 8, under 4 minute timeout, the media timeouts that exist, and how you can leverage timeouts, what Doug Gottlieb was talking about yesterday, in order to give your guys the rest that they need. Think about how they probably did that last night in that game against Northern Kentucky. Rudy, the guy that hit the buzzer beater, horrible flu. Man, is that going around, by the way, right now? Do you guys got the flu across the state of Wisconsin? It is rampant here in Northeast Wisconsin, specifically in my son's school. He's home today, sick. Just got a message from my wife. Sweet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about, though. All right. First, do you know what the number one ranked AP school is right now for men's basketball in NCAA D1?
No.
Arizona. Now I can tell you, I didn't know that either.
Oh God, I'm a casual fan of every other college basketball team except for Wisconsin, Marquette, GB. I'm a Milwaukee casual fan for sure.
But even then, it's my point is that these are all things that in a month we will know, we will talk about, we will care about, because we live for the tournament and the seeding and all of those things. And personally, that's my answer. I don't think it's as much of the way that we watch it or, the analytics and things. I think it's because March Madness as a product is so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And we love it so much as sports fans that we can't appreciate the road to get to it because we're so focused on the end product. We want that so badly that getting there is like, yeah, just get me to March Madness because we want it that bad. If the Super Bowl was just this incredible event and the regular season games just didn't bring that same type of energy, maybe we wouldn't feel that same way. That's not the case. Every week in the NFL is exciting, and the Super Bowl is just another game, but with more lights and cameras. So it's different. But I think if I had to have an answer to the question of being a casual fan of college basketball, that's why. It's that college basketball just already has the best final product in March Madness.
The 920 brings up that Super Bowl piece and says maybe the mighty NFL is the reason why nobody's paying attention to college basketball until now.
That's a great point. That's an absolutely great point, because we also don't have enough time to be in the weeds with multiple sports at one time. It's difficult to do.
I appreciate the question from the 608, by the way, earlier in regard to UWGB. I totally get it why some may not understand, but that's the answer. And then a little bit later, that person texted in triggered with an exclamation point. Yeah, Rudy pulled the trigger on that for sure. More personal stories, great radio. Thanks. We appreciate that. Thanks for listening. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. That very UWGB
I was going to say,
team.
608's going to love the next segment.
Love us a buzzer beater here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. I don't care who it's from, but when it's from GB, let's go. So jacked. Watching that game last night with my family. Rudy called his own number. You'll hear it next in the most electrifying sound of the day. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
It's time for
The most electrifying.
sound of the day
The most electrifying.
on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Brought to you by Best Electric. Learn more at bestelect.com. Don't stress. Connect with the best.
Reading her. Looking for his move. He'll call his own number, and he'll knock it down with 0.2 seconds left on the clock. And Green Bay is going to get out of here with an overtime victory.
That buzzer beater, at least close, 0.2, I know, but I'm counting it. From Rudy and UWGB in their win last night is the most electrifying sound of the day, brought to you by our friends at Best Electric. Remember, no job is too big or too small for Best Electric. Don't stress. Connect with the best. Call them today or visit bestelect.com. ESPN Plus with the credit there. But, yeah, again, awesome to see. Want to celebrate anytime. I will say, I do like when you hear the actual buzzer. Like, I wish that ball would have stayed in the air for 0.2 more seconds to just have it be, and that's the game.
Or the replay and added on another 0.3, so it ended up being 0.5 seconds, which scared me, even though there was a 3-point lead. But that's enough time to catch and shoot, I think.
Yes. Oh, absolutely it is. Yeah, we've seen
Northern Kentucky did the whole Christian Laettner type thing where they threw it all the way down the court and attempted to catch it and turn around. And when you think of plays like that, is that the one you think of, Josh, is the almost 3/4 court throw from the inbounds and he catches it and turns around? There was one more that really stands out to me, and I think it was Valpo in the NCAA tournament. Whose name? What was the kid's name that shot that? He went on to coach later, if he's not still coaching. But I remember that one. That's the best part about college basketball, or just basketball in general, is buzzer beaters. It's the baseball walk-off home run. It's the last-second touchdown in the NFL. There's just something different, though, about a buzzer beater that lands different. Say it again?
Bryce Drew, is that who you're thinking of?
That's it. Can you picture that play? Do you remember that or no?
No, I can't picture it.
That's a good one. All right, there's so much to process from yesterday's end-of-season press conference with Brian Gutekunst. We're going to do a full-fledged Brian Gutekunst presser edition of the Morning Mind Dump. Did you guys watch that, Wisconsin? Did you process that? I'm curious to know what lens you watched it through. Josh, what lens did you have on when you were watching that? Was it the lens of disappointment from the season? Was it the lens of looking forward to 26? Were you looking for specific information you didn't get? How are you processing that?
Yeah, I think that I had very low expectations of, as I've said multiple times, of Goody giving us like headline type news, because he doesn't do that. He's very good in a PR. If this whole, NFL GM thing doesn't work out, he'd be a great hire on a PR team somewhere. He can really put together, answering a question in a very good, safe way. And so I knew that he was going to be doing that, but there was still, I had a little list with boxes that I was waiting for him to check off, and of things I needed to hear. I didn't hear them. So that was the lens that I kind of was looking through, was just hyper focused on the things I was looking to hear.
Yeah, we've talked on this show before in regard to sports that expectations are disappointments waiting to happen. Personal life as well, but specifically on this show in regard to sports. I didn't have the expectation that Brian Gutekunst was going to get in the weeds on any one person, one play, one thought in particular. And that's kind of his job. And it's certainly the way that the Green Bay Packers operate. No different than how Matt LaFleur does his post-game press conferences, or any one of the 19 press conferences he has during the week during the NFL season. So were you saying that you were specifically hoping he would be critical or more critical of a certain aspect of the Packers from 2025?
So just to put this as an example, right? Like, so if someone from the media asks a question to him and says, hey, what are your thoughts on Rich Bisaccia and going forward, blah, blah, blah. I didn't expect him to go out there and say, I'm literally, give me a couple days on Friday, we're letting him go. So, go ahead. You can start writing the story now. I didn't plan on that, obviously. Right. But there are ways that you can be a good wordsmith, good PR, and say, like Matt did at the end of the season of, listen, at this point, it's all on the table. Everything's on the table, right? And that's a way of kind of saying, yeah, he's not safe. We got to address this, but I'm not going to tell you right now. We'll address that once the story comes out that he is gone or that we did make a move. And that isn't what we got from Goody. We did not get listen, we got to be better in these areas. I just got done talking about what we have to be better in. So when it comes to specific people, I'm not going to call out names, but yeah, we have to be better, and everything's on the table right now. If you say something like that, we all go, okay, gotcha, bud. No,
did you hear him say
gotcha.
that yesterday?
No, he didn't say that.
He did say that.
No,
yesterday.
He didn't say it like that.
He sure did, right in the beginning of the press conference.
Okay.
We can play it.
Yeah,
right in the
we'll
beginning
get to
of the press conference, he said that we clearly have to be better.
Yes, he definitely
and do better football things in the end of those games where they had leads 100%. And blew them.
He pulled the Matt LaFleur card. He absolutely said we got.
But that's what I'm
better.
asking. Are you looking for specifics about people?
Yeah, I'm looking for that answer when he's talking about when he's being asked about specific people. He gave that as a blanket statement to open it. And then when he was asked
more specifics about people.
When he was asked about specific people, he didn't go back to that statement. He praised them.
That's the expectation, though. And to your point earlier about Goody choosing his words wisely, that would have to be someone's sound expectation that he wouldn't say something negatively about a specific person in public.
Yeah, but you can. That's my point. Of all the people, he's very good at being able to answer a question and not be positive or negative on a person and answer it.
So wait, that sounds like realism.
Yeah.
And realism bothers you?
No, I'm saying he has the ability to do that. He just didn't. We'll get to it. There's sound. He was asked about the secondary. He brought up names like Keyshawn Nixon. He brought up names like McManus, Rich Bisaccia. He was asked, and he said the names, but it was not answers that had you living in a world of realism of, I'm not going to give you a positive or a negative. It was positive. And that had me and a lot of other Packers fans going, what were you watching last season?
The total interview is roughly 39 minutes. We're not going to click play on this thing and play the entire thing for you. That would be lazy. We're not doing that. However, we've got everything in the interview earmarked and pulled some specifics in regards to offense, defense, special teams, injuries, overall performance. If you're looking for something specific that you heard or didn't hear yesterday, let us know on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. We're going to do our best to find it for you and play it for you, plus get how you feel out. That's why the Morning Mind Dump exists. A fun segment where we get things off our chest and out of our heads so that we don't carry it with us. Is it Giannis related? Is it Goody related or Packers related? Maybe it's college basketball related. Maybe it's Minnesota Duluth hockey related. Yeah. If you've got it on your chest, get it off your chest. It's all good. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. It's worth saying, I fully expected you and I to view this through different lenses.
Yeah, of course, because we're very different sports fans. And so, and that's part of why I think this show works. I will also say that you want to get it out at 7 because you're not going to be able to get it out at 8 because we're going to be talking to Ron Wolf at 8 a.m. And so your time for getting things off your chest and out of your head happens now, not at 8 a.m.
Correct. Ron Wolf, former Green Bay Packers, joins us at 8 a.m. to talk all things Super Bowl, and he has got some skin in this game, to say the least. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We're inside Wisconsin sports with Trevor and Josh. The Morning Mind Dump is next. Stay here. I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Two tight ends set up for the Packers, and Favre back to throw his first one. Going deep, has a man open. Andre Rison does the dance in, and Favre got settled down in a hurry.
That is a way to settle down. Sometimes they think you have to start with short passes. I always said when you got a strong arm guy and you want to settle him down and he's anxious, just show it, throw a deep one. That's exactly what they did.
The call from Super Bowl 31 on Favre to Rison. Brett Favre's first pass, Pat Summerall, John Madden. The best part about that, Josh, John Madden went on for probably another minute and a half.
Yeah.
Doing what John Madden did.
Right.
Yeah. So we cut it off a little early anyway.
I mean, we got stuff to get to here.
Tuesday, we heard from Super Bowl 1. Yesterday, Super Bowl 2. Today, Super Bowl 31. Including a chat with the guy that held the Lombardi Trophy on that day, former Packers general manager Ron Wolf, coming up at 8 a.m. here on Inside Wisconsin Sports on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
The Morning Mind Dump. Here we go.
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.
The coffee has kicked in. We're awake and ready to roll. Let's get some things off our chest and out of our heads.
You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, okay?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm in a glass case of emotion.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We've got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
It's time for the Morning Mind Dump on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. The Morning Mind Dump is upon us, where you get all the things off your chest and out of your head. And you might be carrying a lot of baggage with you today in regard to Wisconsin sports. The NBA trade deadline is upon us. We have our Twitters open. The TV is on behind me. It's a lot of Super Bowl coverage, but Brian Windhorse is talking on Get Up right now, and about what? Don't know. It's the Knicks and maybe something else. Are the Knicks built for a title run is the question.
Yep,
maybe it's Goody's presser yesterday that's got you all wound up. Maybe it's something else. We've got thick skin. We can handle it. So get those things into our text feed. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. So we've got to break down Goody's presser from yesterday. I'm at a point in the season, much like where one of the texts already came in regard to I'm kind of removed from it already. So I went into this thing with the land of optimism, as you would expect me to, the lens of optimism, but also what I'm trying to figure out is radical acceptance. And so for me, I'm trying to be realistic. I'm trying to be more realistic in my life and have radical acceptance. Not everything can be positive all the time. Totally get it. And for me, it's about radical acceptance. So when I watched that entire press conference and took notes and made specific comments about specific things and grabbed audio clips, it is radical acceptance for me. And I'm not dumb enough, nor are you, Josh, to look at some things and go, man, you must have seen some things I didn't know existed. And that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of things that I assumed and hope that the GM of the team sees and saw that I didn't, because I am a fan and he gets paid a lot of money to see things that I didn't see.
Amen
so
to that.
That's the expectation, right? Is that would be the case.
So we're going to break this down this way. Maybe a segment, maybe two. It all depends on where you guys want to steer the ship. Offense, defense, special teams, injuries, and the future. Plus, if there's something that you're looking for specifically from Brian Gutekunst, we're going to do our best to pull it up in the moment and get it to you in real time. All right, so first things first, a lot of conversation about a lot of things, and specifically about a few players on the offense. One of those, including Jordan Love. Goody was asked, all right, what'd you think about Love? How'd you assess his play this season?
I thought Jordan played, really, really good football. Some of his best football, especially down the stretch. I actually thought he was one of our guys that played very, very well down the stretch. Continues to be an unbelievable leader for our football team. I couldn't speak more highly of what I think about Jordan and where he's headed. And as good as he's been for us, I do think he'll continue to get better because it's important to him and he works at his craft. He's always looking for another edge. I feel really good about that.
So it sounds like Jordan Love met expectations, Josh.
I mean, could you disagree?
I can't.
I think that Jordan Love was a highlight of the season. I don't understand people that said the reason why the team failed was because of Jordan Love. I think that those people are just used to blaming the quarterback. But I think that Jordan Love played great, and I think that Goody pointing that out makes complete sense.
What about Josh Jacobs?
Josh Warrior, a really important part of our football team. Everything that he brings to us on the field, in the locker room, he's an important part. I think he's got a lot of good years left.
Okay.
Agree with that. Would maybe like to see him get healthy and not have us push him as hard as they did this year. But besides that, yep, I'm on board with that.
Thanks, New York Giants turf.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help on that. Goody talked about Tucker Kraft and his contract and how important it is to have him back. Everybody knows where they stand in terms of loving each other. He talked about Matthew Golden's impact and what he believes the future of Matthew Golden is. He talked about that 2022 roster in terms of the draft picks and specifically the wide receiver room. I mean, he went on and on. Again, not to nauseate you all with audio. We don't want to click play on this thing and just go, all right, buckle in. Here you go. And we'll assess that later. Those are the specific things that jumped out to us about the offense. Josh, anything else that you specifically heard about the offense from Goody that you liked or didn't like?
No, I think that, especially with my expectations of what Goody was actually going to give us, I thought it was a fair assessment. And also, if you had to pick one, I thought the offense was a decent highlight. They figured things out, and we trusted the offense a lot more down the stretch. So I was good with it.
I kind of liked how he opened the presser, too. The first thing that he was asked was, how are we doing processing the 2025 season? And his answer was 2 words, not good. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, right. Trust me, I was like, okay, I like this realism of realizing, yep, you lost the last 5 games. This is good. This is a good start. Just didn't continue that way for me.
He also mentioned the offensive line and how he knew that there were some opportunities there, quite banged up, as you would expect. And he likes the versatility of where he can move those guys around and still have them perform. How about the defense? Here's Goody on the secondary, that is the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, again, we had some injuries there. Obviously, Hobbs, was missed for most of the season, never really got going. I thought Carrington stepped in and did a great job. I think he continues. He's a young player that's still getting better. Keyshawn obviously had a very, very good year. I think he was in the top 3 in PBUs, and he did some really good things. So do we need wholesale changes? No. I do think it's an area, though, that those guys, those guys can't get hurt. They're the smaller guys on the field. We ask a lot of those guys in run support. So the depth there for me is important, that we have answers.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where he lost you, right?
Yep. Right there. That was it. So listen, I was with him. Like, if I play this back, right, I could tell you here.
Again, we had some injuries there. Obviously, Hobbs was missed for most of the season, never really got going. True. I thought Carrington stepped in and did a great job. I think he continues. He's a young player that's still getting better. Keyshawn obviously had a very, very good year. I think.
Okay, and I'm gone. Keyshawn had a very, very good year. Keyshawn had a very, very good year? Are you basing that on, like, the interception he had against the Bears in the one game? There are so many things that happened last season that you could put together as a low light reel for Keyshawn Nixon. And then for him to follow it up saying yeah, these guys played great. The problem is we didn't have depth in case they got injured. No. We need to have guys that are making Keyshawn Nixon not our number one option at corner. That needs to be what happens, not go out and get someone to back up Nixon. We need to have someone that's starting ahead of him. So starting with him saying he was very, very good and then continuing through
in the top 3 in PBUs and it did some really good things. So do we need wholesale changes? No, I do think it's an area though that, those guys, those guys can get hurt. They're the smaller guys on the field. We ask a lot of those guys in run support. So the depth there for me is important that we have answers.
The answers need to be getting better pieces and having them be the depth. And that was what was frustrating. He didn't have to go out and say it the way he did either. He could say, yeah, I mean, obviously we had some struggles with injuries. We've had that across the whole team. That's an area where I know we need to improve. And, I think that for what we asked of our guys, they did the work that was asked of them, but that's definitely an area we need to be better. And I expect us to be better in 2026. Boom. Done. There you go.
Yeah, that part about doing what they asked him to do, I think, is the interesting part. We look at the things that Keyshawn Nixon didn't do, or in some cases, unfortunately, did do, and want to burn down the building. That's why we have questions sometimes the way we do. And yet, some of the statistics also don't lie. We had this conversation when Keyshawn Nixon became a Pro Bowler, which made us all scratch our heads because as Packers fans, we see the glaring stuff and go, gee, Willie, how? What was that?
Right.
And yet PBUs is a real stat. The number of opportunities he took away in terms of passes defended and tackles, those are stats. And I think that when they grade players at the Packers, when they review film, that's probably how they give part of their assessment. Are there a bunch of plays that we wish we could get back from Keyshawn Nixon, both ones he made and ones he didn't make? Yeah. And somehow, based on their expectations, Keyshawn Nixon met them. 100% no, but met them. And so that's the puzzling part. And it goes into the special teams too, which we'll get to here in a second. I'm not sure what they look at to assess the situation. There are glaring things on the outside about Keyshawn Nixon and about special teams coming up next that we go as Packer fans are, what are you watching?
Right.
And yet, somewhere, there's a pile of information that they're also looking for that we don't know exists. And so this is where my radical acceptance comes in going, all right, well, I'm not the GM or the head coach or the position coach. I'm a not casual fan, but I don't know the X's and O's of football the way other people do. So he saw some things that he really liked. We saw some things that we really didn't like.
We saw some things that were unacceptable. And that's the difference, right? I am judging.
Goody's never going to come out and say that.
Correct. But that's why I'm saying he could say what I just said. Instead of saying really, really great year. Like you're giving high praise as if this team, to the point on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, someone said early in the show, you would have thought that the team went 15-2 and made it to the NFC Championship game based on some of the things that Goody was saying this. And here's what it all comes back to me. And it keeps being said by Goody, LaFleur, everyone in the brass in the front office for the Packers. Our goal is to win championships. We are a championship team. That is the standard in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You can't say that and then give high praise to someone like Nixon, who you saw, that the whole world saw, give up on plays, make huge mental mistakes. You can't have both. Otherwise, you lose my trust, and I'm not believing what you're saying, because I'm going, yeah, but he also said that he thought Nixon played great. So why would I believe him when he says they're playing for championships? It can't be both. I understand you can't come out and bash a player. No one ever would. But he, of all people, is very good at getting a message out without saying it. And he didn't do that here. He gave high praise, and that was weird.
Well, perfect timing to move on to special teams then, isn't it? Here's what Goody had to say about Rich Bisaccia. He mentioned Rich twice. The audio clip that we pulled is from the end of the press conference. It was literally the last thing he talked about before the press conference was over. about what Rich Bisaccia means to the culture, to the organization, and to the special teams.
You know what Rich brings to this our culture, this football team, is just it's really, he's a very impactful coach around here. Certainly, I thought we've been better on teams the last few years than we've been in a long time. Our cover units have been better. We got one of the best punters in the National Football League. We got an excellent snapper. Brandon was excellent last year. This year, again, he worked through some things injury-wise and then had a bad playoff game. That was kind of how that ended. But now I got a lot of faith in Rich and his staff, what they do around here. Not only the X's and O's and what they bring to the field, but what they bring to this place culturally is really important.
During the season, when all of the things happened with the special teams that did, there was a lot of people listening across the state of Wisconsin on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network who said, well, it's not Rich Bisaccia's fault that McManus can't make kicks. It's not Rich Bisaccia's fault that Romeo Dobbs couldn't pick up that onside kick that cost us. It's not that person's fault. It's not this person's fault. And yet a lot of critical feedback from you and myself included was towards Rich Bisaccia going, well, if they're going to keep doing these things, then something's got to change. From Goody's mouth and eyes, there's more to it than the negatives that we saw. And because special teams, specifically at the coordinator position, has been a revolving door under Matt LaFleur, what I heard Goody say there was, I appreciate the growth in that department, and then started mentioning things that you and I would never take the time to assess.
Sure. Again, for me, it all comes back to you can't contradict yourself. You can't say that you're playing to win a championship, and that is the standard in Green Bay, and then have a special teams that's a liability. Again, they don't need to be great, but you can't have it to where every game fans on their couch are saying, oh, please just don't ruin the game for us for years and years, including multiple years with Rich Bisaccia at the helm. You can't have both. And so that's the frustration. Did they get better? Did they grow? Sure, maybe. I don't know. But they've been bad. They've been a liability. Then tell me how they're going to not be a liability this year. What are you adding to Rich Bisaccia's team to make sure that they're not a liability so that you can be the standard in Green Bay of winning championships? Because right now, you just saying, oh, yeah, let me tell you what Rich Bisaccia brings to the culture in here and everything. That's telling me I'm okay with what happened this last year. And this year was not championship standards.
But again, he came out and said he wasn't okay with what happened last year and that nobody expected McManus to have the playoff game that he did. And on the flip side, Goody talked a lot yesterday about what changes are coming, just didn't have specifics, nor should we expect specifics from him specifically in this press conference at the end of the season. What about the injuries?
Yeah,
there was a lot
one.
of conversation all year long about how bad the injuries were and how heavy we should be leaning on that excuse. Goody was asked specifically about the injuries on the team, and his answer made me really happy.
I got one ring since I've been doing this, and it was a year we had more injuries than I think any other, right? So, it's nothing against any of the other teams there, but you never feel like, hey, we can't go win this game. I fully expected where we were in the middle of the playoff game to win that game and be heading to Seattle and win that game. And so again, it's like I think that's the thing that makes this job so as tough as those moments are. It's what draws us a lot to it. It's the competitive nature of it, and I always say it up here, but the roster building is 365 and we're always on top of that stuff. And that's, to me, if you're going to do this in those moments, that's where your leaders better step up and be ready to go. Not only your players, but your coaches and myself included. It's, those things suck. You never want to lose good players, but it's it's the nature of the business. And if you got an answer to get around it, then I'm all for it. But it's just, I've never seen even these two teams that are playing this week, they've had their share of injuries as well, and sometimes it's fortune, sometimes it's the way you're doing things, and you take a look at it all and just try to make the best decisions.
So
if you've got words around it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, if
I
you
thought that
have
was
an,
really
if you have an
interesting.
answer to the injury bug, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, because it is part of football. Injuries are going to happen. And that was what was frustrating as a fan, is that we saw those injuries, and then we saw the team still be competitive, put themselves in a chance to win, and they didn't win. And that was what was frustrating and had us going, changes need to be made. We can't just say, well, we had a lot of injuries. Let's hope that we don't next year. And so when he came out, and this is, I think, to sum it all up where I'm at with it, he came out and he said, this team will look different in 2026. And I think I went, and a lot of other Packers fans went, damn right, good. And we wanted him to start talking about cutting the fat. We talked about the people on this team that need to go, to change the culture, to get back to a winning culture. You can't have people giving up on plays. You can't have Micah Parsons getting triple teamed and Rashawn Gary not getting home. You can't have those type of things. And so we are looking for any ounce of daylight in the cave of darkness that fat's going to be cut. And that's what we didn't hear. And so that led me to going, man, there might be changes on this team. They just might not be the ones that I want. And that's frustrating.
Do you have the presser up on your end?
I sure do.
2301. That's when he talked about Rashawn Gary specifically and how he didn't meet expectations. So although, did he come out and say, we're going to cut him? Of course not. We shouldn't expect that. However, he did go there with Rashawn Gary.
Do you expect him back in 2026?
Yeah, like I said, I expect all these guys in their contract to be back, but we're just getting started into kind of looking how we're going to build out the team for next year. I thought he started out really, really strong. I mean, obviously he had a lot of production early. I think he ended up with 60 some pressures and 7.5 sacks, which, that's nothing to I mean, that's a pretty good production in the National Football League. I did think towards the end of the year he wasn't as productive as he was at the beginning. So certainly that'll be something I'm sure he looks at personally, and we look at as a team, is how we can continue to make sure that his production level is the same at the beginning and the end of the season.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what'd you hear there?
Yeah, I mean that was in terms of Goody, probably as negative as he said anything in the entire presser.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But and
did that suffice though in regard to? I mean, he literally said, "Yep, players under contract, expect me back," and that wasn't okay.
Right. They need to be better. We're going to work with him to make sure we get what we need out of him. I'm hoping that turns into what we need out of him is for him not to be here. Of course, again, he can't say that, and I understand that. But
when we come back,
was that frustrating?
We talked about what was. Now, when we come back, what will be? And in regards to the Bucs, what should we expect their first round draft pick to look like? We'll cover that next as the Morning Mind Dump continues live on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We're inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Stay tuned, Wisconsin. Coming up at 8 a.m., the former general manager of the Green Bay Packers, Ron Wolf, joins us on Inside Wisconsin Sports. All things John Schneider, Elliott Wolf, the family tree, and the coaching/GM tree that is so prominent in the NFL. It's really cool. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, continuing the conversation about the end-of-season presser that Brian Gutekunst gave yesterday. 40-ish minutes of information about what was and what will be, specifically about what the team will look like.
Yeah, like I said, I think there in every NFL season, there's successes, there's disappointments. We have one goal here, and we never run from it. We're here to win championships, and I think this team is capable of that. 2026 will be a different team, and but the expectations won't change.
That's an interesting way to put it, Josh, that this team is capable of that. So, yes, there's going to be differences, but did you think that this team was capable of winning the Super Bowl this year?
On paper, yes. Week 1 and 2, yes. Before Micah went down, yes. There were moments throughout the season, yes. Definitely
That's
not
perfect.
on the stretch.
No, right. And they still had leads.
Right.
The team that didn't have all of those superstars that were injured still put them in the best case scenario possible to win games moving forward. And there will be change. Players will change. Coaches will change, including the defensive coordinator position. Noah Hafley now is chilling on the beach in Miami. Lucky duck.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jonathan Gannon, what can we expect from you? Here's Goody.
Yeah, not a lot of familiarity until, kind of the interview process and what we went through. But everybody spoke very, very highly of him. Really enjoyed our visit together and excited about what he can do. He brings some different ideas and than what we've done in the past, and that's exciting. And no, obviously he's got a very strong proven track record, and that experience I think is something that was enticing.
It was good to hear that Goody's a part of the interview process. There was a lot of people that weren't sure where he sat at the table because he, Matt LaFleur, and Russ Ball are all on the same level playing field. Is that Goody's decision? Is it Matt's decision alone? He was asked earlier about the idea of continuity and why, if he was a part of bringing Matt LaFleur back, did he think that was a good idea? And he cleanly said that that was actually something that Ed Policy did. And he agrees with the decision. So it's good to hear that he's in the room, and it's also good to hear that there's high expectation for Gannon from both he and Coach LaFleur.
Right. I mean, he's here, so let's see what he can do.
Radical acceptance. So, Josh, based on all of that, as we wrap up the conversation about what was Goody's end-of-year presser yesterday at Lambeau Field, and you not necessarily having your expectations met about what Goody would say or how he would say it, are there, yet you would understand that that's just not a plausible thing for a general manager to specifically say, but yet you had an expectation of him wording some things specifically the way you would have hoped he would. Do you have other examples of general managers in the NFL that do come out and say the things that you hoped Goody would say?
I mean, no, I don't. But I'm telling you that being in that position, and I truly believe that no one does it better than Goody, can professionally answer a question without giving you anything. He's very good at that. And there was a lot that was said in that presser yesterday that wasn't him giving you nothing. It was him giving me the opposite of what I wanted to hear. And so that I knew I wasn't going to get him to come out and say, yeah, we got to cut some fat on this team. And, we had a lot of injuries, but there were a lot of people that didn't perform up to our standards as a Super Bowl championship team, blah, 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 blah. I didn't expect that. That would have been crazy. He was never going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect him to also praise so many players, coaches, things with this team. I expected more of that living in a gray area-esque, I'm good at wording things around the question type answers. I didn't get that either. And so that for me is why it was frustrating. And it just puts me right back on the chair of, all right, I guess I'm waiting and seeing. But I'll tell you what, like if you were a fan out there and you were the only thing you wanted to see different was that Rich Bisaccia was going to be gone, you're not getting that. I would very much doubt that Rich Bisaccia is on a different team or retired before next season.
Yep, those two for sure. From a fan perspective, we're like, all right, there's something there that I don't know about. Rich Bisaccia, Keyshawn Nixon. Was there other ones, Josh?
The Keyshawn Nixon was a big one. That was probably the biggest one. McManus was another. I think a lot of people were like thinking about that. He laid it out, and he kind of, it was listen, he did really good. He battled injuries, and then he had one bad game. And I don't know that was necessarily an answer that a lot of Packers fans were like, what? That's your explanation for your plan with McManus going forward?
Actually, 41-49. Go there quick. He actually talked specifically about McManus in competition at the kicker spot. 41 minutes, 49 seconds. He was asked, is there going to be a competition?
That competition for him, and are you willing to eat that roster bonus if you have to?
Yeah, so like competition, you know me, I want competition at all these spots, no matter what. If we can have enough spots on the roster. Again, like I mentioned before, he made 32 straight kicks up until that game, right? He worked through an injury thing early in the year, which I commend him for fighting through, because it was a little bit more than probably he let on. And once he got through it, he was really, really good until that final game. So he's a pro's pro. The one thing that I've always felt good about is he knows how to kick in weather. So certainly we didn't see that game in Chicago, for him not to perform like he normally does. But we'll have a competition at that spot, but not because of anything that happened this past year. I think we always need to have competition at that spot.
How do you feel about that?
Jordan Morgan played.
I think that is 100% what I expected, even if he was great. I would have.
But did that meet your did that help you feel better about how he feels about McManus?
No, not really.
How come?
Because I think that I would have been, like I said, even if McManus wasn't the problem, if someone said like, hey, are we set on McManus being the kicker going forward? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Look at how he finished the year. I would have been like, what? Like, there's always competition for spots, especially those type of spots. So I would have been surprised either way if his answer wasn't that, in regards to there being a off-season competition and training camp competition for someone. Now, if he would have came out and said, if someone would ask him about drafting a kicker or something, bringing a kicker that way, and then he would have said, well, yeah, I mean, if there's a good kicker on the board, then I would have been like, whoa, okay, now that's something. But I don't expect that for Brian Gutekunst. So,
do you expect the Bucs to tank the season?
I don't know. I don't know. It's the hardest thing for me to figure out how to do this. How do we do this?
So the Bucs had a big win last night in overtime against the Pelicans, and it made Josh and I go, boy, do we want to keep winning, or where are we at? I mean, obviously the trade deadline is today, 2:00. I haven't gotten any buzzer notifications that anything massive has happened in regard to Giannis Antetokounmpo, so the waiting game is alive and well. Yet the Bucs are winning. At least they did last night against a team, by the way, that has their hands in the same draft cookie jar and are directly impacted by the way the Bucs season ends.
Yeah. And so this all ties together. Okay. So first, to kind of lay this out, the Bucs have until 2 p.m. Central today to make a move for Giannis. It has seemed like more and more of the Windhorse and Shams stories have faded away, and they're not going to happen. You still never know. Something could happen until it's 2:01. I'm not going to say, hey, we're good, we're moving on. But if nothing happens with Giannis today, then the storyline's going to continue into now they're going to move him in the offseason. However, a lot of other things are going to happen before then. And that includes the Bucs are going to find out what happens with the draft, where their pick is. Depending on who the Bucs can get with their pick, that could be a sign, hey, Giannis, here's a top 3 pick of a young guy that we're going to add to this team to make us competitive, and maybe Giannis signs a Supermax and stays here even longer. Then that'll be the whole conversation. Do we want him to stay? Blah, 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 all that. But that only happens if the Bucks tank. If the Bucks finish 10th, 12th, whatever it is in the NBA, they're not going to get a top 5 pick. And so it's funny that they played the Pelicans last night because the Pelicans and the Bucks, whoever has the better pick will go to the Pelicans, and the Bucks will get the worst of those two picks. So it was interesting that these two teams that are both not doing well right now ended up playing each other, and it was in this game. But we're not used to this tanking mentality since we've had Giannis. This is new. And so I'm watching a lot of people on social media reacting to the game saying, man, that was a fun win. That was a fun win. But do we want that? Isn't our goal to tank so that we can get either a good draft pick because we're going to get rid of Giannis, or a good draft pick because we're going to put that pick with Giannis? And so I need help from everyone out there on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. Tell me, what are you hoping for? What are your feelings watching these Bucks games? Are you saying, no, don't win? You can't win. If you win, we lose. What's your mentality? And if you are in the mode of, yes, Bucks need to tank, how are you doing it? How are you able to watch Bucks games and hope they lose as a fan?
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line. That, and up next, what if your job had a fine structure? Meaning, if you do this or don't do that, you get fined at work. And where you work, what do you believe should be a finable offense? We wrote down some. We're curious on yours. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line. What grinds your gears that you wish you could go, hey, you know what? Here's your fine for that. Make more coffee, would you please? Instead of taking the last bit and moving on. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Hang tight, Wisconsin. Top of the hour, Ron Wolf, former Packers general manager, joins us on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh to preview what is a special Super Bowl for he, his son, Elliot, and former Packer front office personnel, John Schneider, out at the Seahawks. The conversation now is, A, how do we watch tanking? Should the Bucs be tanking? Should they not be tanking? Where do we stand on that? And also, if your place of work had fines, just comparing, how professional athletes and teams fine their employees per se, what should be a finable fence in your place of work? I wrote down a bunch from a radio station perspective. First, Ryan in Burlington. How are we doing watching what may be tanking Bucs basketball?
Well, I mean, it's a necessary evil. We've traded away all of our future assets. We probably have the strongest draft in 10 years this year with the top four might be superstars. So Giannis should be shut down for the rest of the year. I don't care what you have to say is wrong with him, but he should be shut down to protect the draft assets we could get back if we're going to trade him in the offseason. Miles Turner should be out the door I think a contender would want a guy like that, and you could probably still get a first-round pick for him. Bobby Porter should be gone. Kuzma should be gone if possible. And how you watch it is you watch the growth of KPJ when he's back, and you watch Ryan Rollins, because those are the only two players on the team that have upside. And you just hope and pray that you get a high enough percentage to get in that lottery, and then you and the Pelicans finish in the top four, and you're guaranteed one of those four picks, because that could be the change you need. Then you trade Giannis, then you get all the number ones, then you build the team. But if you can get that superstar today, man, are we set up much better, because we don't have anything in the future besides what we're going to get for Giannis when we do trade him.
Sure, but Ryan, how do you watch the game? Like, that's what I'm asking. If you watched that game last night, how do you watch that game where it goes to overtime and then the Bucs end up winning and sit there as a fan knowing they're your team? You're cheering for your team, but also you don't want them to win, because if they win, that's bad. Then you don't get everything you just laid out. So how do you watch tanking and enjoy your team still? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, for me, I switched from rooting for my team to win to watching players develop and grow. And if you can see, if Rollins goes for 26, 8-8, and we lose, that's a win-win. I hate, and I don't expect coaches to coach to tank, because I think that just isn't going to happen. But it's up to a general manager to give the tools to the coach that he can't be successful in these situations, because it is a business, and the value is in getting the draft picks. The value is not this year, and we're going to do nothing this year anyway. The value is what we need to do for the future.
I love it. Thanks for the call, Ryan.
Ryan from Burlington on what it means for the Bucs to tank. Somebody else in the 920 says more losses means Doc is gone. Easy to root for that. Is that the truth, though? If the Bucs keep losing, does that automatically guarantee that Doc Rivers is gone?
Sure doesn't. Did we not all Packer season long think, well, there's no way they hold on to Bisaccia, and they've doubled down? You never know. You absolutely never know. It is never guaranteed that something's going to lead to a coach being gone. I also want to get this one in quick on our YouTube. You can, of course, be streaming us live on Twitter and YouTube if you want to see our faces there. And NConson2302 says, I want to see them play hard. I cannot want them to lose. That's what I'm saying. It's difficult to say, yeah, I want to watch my team perform poorly, even though it benefits them in the end. That's the problem with tanking. A lot of the teams that you see that are at the bottom of the barrel, it's because they legitimately aren't good. And so if the Bucs are close, they aren't awful. They're just like middle of the pack, but we need them to be awful. This is a very awkward, weird spot.
We are fresh out of time to have the conversation about what is a finable offense at the workplace. We'll pick that up again tomorrow. We appreciate the text on those. Got some good ones on the list. We'll create a piece out of that tomorrow, because when we come back, one of the bigger interviews, I mean, listen, we get a lot of amazing feedback on the level of guests that we get on Inside Wisconsin Sports. All you got to do is try. You just simply have to ask. My mom taught me that when I was 16. My grandfather instilled me in with that, with one of his final words to me. At the end of the day, you don't know unless you try. And so the worst thing that you can do is ask, and they say no. Josh and I both made a lot of asks yesterday about people coming on the show to talk about Goody's presser and the state of the state that is Green Bay Packers football. And they said no. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
This person did not say no. They were unfortunately not able to join us live. And so we chatted with Ron Wolf last night. It's an incredible interview. He had amazing insight in regard to how he not only feels about somebody that loves football, loves the Packers, loves everything that job allowed him to do, but now watching people that he helped build, whether it was Elliott at home, and you'll hear Ron Wolf doesn't take the credit for Elliott, but he did take a little credit for John Schneider, knowing that he came from the Ron Wolf tree. There was also a really cool quote. Somebody asked, I believe it was Jason Wilde, asked Goody yesterday, in his presser about Ron Wolf and what that meant to Brian to watch those two guys that Brian worked closely with here at the Green Bay Packers both be in the Super Bowl. His answer was very kind, Goody was, but also to hell with the Super Bowl. I'm not in it, so I don't care. I love that piece. Let us know your thoughts on what your memories are of Super Bowl 31. We've played a lot of memories from Super Bowls this week. We'll continue to reminisce about that at the top of the next hour, and we will get to our conversation with former general manager of the Green Bay Packers, Ron Wolf. He joins us next, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We are inside Wisconsin sports with Trevor and Josh. Ron Wolf is next. Don't go anywhere. I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
General manager of the Green Bay Packers. This is a tough question. What did you see in Desmond Howard that made you decide to give him a second chance and that this guy could be this instrumental in a victory, the Super Bowl 31 victory for the Green Bay Packers?
Well, Terry, the real credit goes to the gentleman to my left. He kept after me to sign him. We were going to make him our first pick, and Washington moved in front of us. But we kept after it, and look what happened today. I'd like to say this to the Green Bay Packers, every member of the Green Bay Packers, well done. Well done. To the fans of Green Bay, this is yours as much as it is ours, and we thank you very much for that.
Goosebumps. Oh, I remember that like yesterday. So awesome.
Awesome.
After Super Bowl 31, the trophy in hand, and then shortly thereafter, Reggie White took that thing and made a lap. And those are core memories for a lot of Green Bay Packers fans. What's up, Wisconsin? Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you are tuning in now, you are expecting to hear from former Packers general manager Ron Wolf. Great news, you will, in moments. Real quick, before we get to that and ask him all the questions that we were able to when we chatted with him late last night about Elliott and John Schneider and the Super Bowl and his travel plan, all the things. Goody was actually asked about Ron Wolf yesterday and about the Super Bowl, specifically with Elliott, who he worked closely with, and John Schneider, who he also worked closely with. And I loved Goody's answer. Take a listen.
One of the coolest things that ever happened to me in my football career was just kind of stepping into that world with all those guys, Scott McLuhan, Reggie McKenzie, John Dorsey, Ron, Ted. And like, I didn't know it at the time. I knew they just won the Super Bowl and they must be pretty good. But to learn from those guys and kind of soak that in, and they were so confident at the time. They had so much faith and belief in what Ron was doing and the system that it was just really easy to buy into. And, then I spent a year in Kansas City with John. It was a different system, but John was kind of trying to take what they were doing in Green Bay and implement it in Kansas City a little bit. And I came right back. And it's again, it's really cool to see. I mean, I really normally, if we're not in it, I could care less about that game and hope they both lose. But in this one, like I just know no matter what the outcome is, I'm going to be really happy for that person. And it's just a really cool thing for the guys that come from kind of that have been with Green Bay, have come through that process, are still really close. There's guys throughout the National Football League on all kinds of other teams. Dorsey used to call it the mothership, this place is a mothership, and you all have a sense of pride coming from that process. That's the way I've always looked at it. And it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me career-wise.
A lot of people take a lot of pride, Josh.
As they should.
Coming from the Ron Wolf tree. He calls it the process. We all know it as the tree. So let's talk to the guy with the roots in the ground. Ron Wolf, former Packers general manager, joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Our chat with former GM of the Green Bay Packers, Ron Wolf. So how incredible is it that Elliott is there now?
Well, I think it's wonderful. I think that just what he's been able to accomplish in his career is remarkable. And obviously, Edie and I are very proud of him, what he's accomplished, what he's been able to do in a very tough profession. And this is a culmination of a lot of hard work on his part.
Can you talk a little bit, Ron, about just as a parent? I mean, both Trevor and I both have kids, but to see, him not only accomplish that, but how you literally took him through all of the stages and he talked about that hard work, but how is it just as a dad being able to see him do that?
Well, it's fantastic. You can't imagine what it's like. But I can't take credit for that because he came in the game 4 years after I retired, and he was trained, ironically, by the guy he's going to go against Sunday, along with Ted Thompson, John Dorsey, Reggie McKenzie. I think it's just bespeaks of his determination to achieve success, and he's done it.
So you mentioned John Schneider, somebody that came from the Ron Wolf tree going up against Elliott. That must be a really unique feeling for you.
It is, because I have such high regard and respect for John because of how he approached it. Interestingly, people talk about systems and that, how you do this or how you do that, but it's the people involved, the people that make the system work. And John was never afraid. And I think that shows with what he's been able to accomplish. He's had one heck of a career out there in Seattle and has been at it a very long time. And in today's pro football, that seems impossible. People are being fired all the time. But John survived it. And the reason he survived it is, I think, the belief in himself and his ability to evaluate. He was never afraid. If he made a mistake, he kept trying to fix that mistake. All you have to do is look at how he got Russell Wilson. Traded for a quarterback from Green Bay, a quarterback from Minnesota. They didn't work. Then he drafted Russell Wilson and took off.
Someone else that survived, Ron, is Brian Gutekunst, who just got his extension announced and continuing his role as the GM here in Green Bay. Can you talk a little bit just about the culture and that, what he's going through and what the entire organization is going through as they're making more moves, but essentially running it back here into 2026?
Unfortunately, I'm living in Florida. I've been down here a long time. We don't get to see the NFC North. We get to see the AFC East and the NFC East. Miami's our big team down here. And then on the other side, we get Tampa Bay. But I would say that that's good for the Packers because Brian's done a tremendous job, in my opinion, looking at it from afar. Has done a tremendous job in keeping the Packers afloat. I mean, in the higher echelon of the game from a standings standpoint. I would think that the Packers are very smart in keeping him on.
We're talking with former Green Bay Packers general manager Ron Wolf on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Ron, I think your flight leaves pretty quick to head out to San Francisco to have a front row seat to the Super Bowl with Elliott and John. But let's be real. I mean, you're cheering for the Patriots. There's just no way around it.
You got that right. 100% Patriots fan.
So when you get there, are you going to be able to see Elliott, hang out with him at all, have dinner, have a conversation, or maybe have you guys been talking leading up to it this week?
Not really, because he's just arrived there. I kind of let him alone, but I plan to. I'm going to speak with him. I'm going to have dinner with him one night, Friday night, probably Friday or Saturday night. Then they just play the game, and away we go.
And so, what does he have you set up for at the Super Bowl? Did he get you a box? I'm hoping you're not in the nosebleeds, right? Where are they going to have set up?
I don't know any of that. I'm not sure where I'm going to be, other than we're going to be outside. I'm not going to be in a box, that's for sure.
So, okay, when you're there now, one more, and then we'll let you go, Ron. Thanks so much for your time. How much will you be reminiscing about your run with the Packers to win Super Bowl 31? Have you been back to a Super Bowl since then? Because the last time, maybe if you were at one, you had the trophy in your hands.
No, the last time I was at one was when the Packers played Pittsburgh and Dallas. That's the last Super Bowl I was at, because Elliott was involved in the scouting department at that time. I'm not going to reminisce about 31. That was too long ago, but it was a marvelous day, that's for sure, in my lifetime and in my career. Let me just say that there isn't a better place in professional sports to work than the Green Bay Packers. It's as unique a place as there is in any professional sport in this United States. And the fact that the Packers remain is remarkable. And it's up to all the fans to keep it that way. You can't destroy it. This is ideal place for professional football, and it is a professional football mecca.
Amen to that.
Well said.
Ron Wolf, the former general manager of the Green Bay Packers, thank you so much for your time. It is all over the country this week, Ron, that John Schneider and clearly Elliott Wolf came from the Ron Wolf tree of general managers. So thank you, because we're so excited for the game, and we wish you and Elliott all the best.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thanks so much for your time. We'll catch up with you soon, and maybe we get to chat with you afterwards and go, hey, how was that? He's the Super Bowl champ again.
Okay, that'd be nice. Thanks a lot, guys.
Former Green Bay Packers general manager Ron Wolf joined us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Somebody on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, Josh, from the 920 says, hey, you should let Ron know about the NFL Red Zone.
Yeah.
Ron Wolf's 87 years old.
Yeah, there are ways. I think he's aware of it. He's living the good life. And I got to tell you, that was such a special interview because we talked about it right after it happened. I was like, that didn't feel like I was talking to an NFL Hall of Famer, former Green Bay Packers GM. That felt like I was talking to a dad.
Yeah.
Like that was you could so feel the pride that he has in Elliott. It was awesome. That was awesome.
And it's so fun to hear what he had to say about Goody and John Schneider and just kind of reminiscing about the tree that he, although he'd never take credit for it,
right,
that he created. I mean, Goody said it earlier before we played that interview back. There are fingers of the Ron Wolf tree and specifically the front office of the Green Bay Packers filtered throughout the entire NFL. And a lot of those guys still stay in good contact. I wonder how, I mean, I know there's been conversation, right, with John Schneider and Elliott, and there was a joke that Schneider babysat Elliott back in the day, and Elliott was running around Lambeau Field with Ron as a kid and sitting in draft rooms and so on. But I really hope that there is some sort of acknowledgement and embrace with those guys after the game, regardless of what happens.
Yeah. I mean, you would sure hope so. You would hope there is.
If you are the general manager of a team in the Super Bowl going up against the other team that had a GM on it that you've known your entire life, what would you text him the night before?
Man, I hope you oversleep. That's probably
Elliott,
what I
love
would
you.
say.
Go to hell.
I
hope you have the worst day ever tomorrow.
Right, because you can poke fun a little bit. I think it's going to be no different if down the road, the LaFleurs get to coach against each other, or if you go and you watch tape from the Harbaughs, and like those type of relationships allow you to. It's still competitive, but you get to poke fun a little bit more because it goes beyond the game itself.
The Kelsey brothers famously played against each other in the Super Bowl. The Eagles lost, the Chiefs won. Mama Kelsey is on video hanging out with Jason, the losing half of the Kelsey brothers, who had a moment with mom and then said, all right, go find Trav. Go celebrate with Trav.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has there been anything like that in the Green Bay Packers system over the years? Trying to think. Like, obviously, we've had quarterbacks come back, Rodgers, Favre. Although Rodgers never returned to Lambeau Field yet. Hopefully he's done. The idea, though, is that's probably the closest we've gotten, I think. Is that true, you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
The 920 says, I'm sure Ron Wolf knows exactly what's going on in Green Bay. He just gave you a diplomatic answer. Yeah, Ron, I don't think so.
I'm not going to lie. I don't. Yeah. Just from the conversation we had with him, I really think that he isn't in on it, nor feels the need to be. I think that he has enjoyed his time and is focusing on other things. That was my big thing. I thought we'd go into that interview going heavy Packers, and it was like, yeah, I'm just focusing on my son and happy for that. And I'm thankful for those memories, but that's where I'm at in my life. And it was beautiful.
262 says, great interview with Ron Wolf. That was awesome. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Sure was.
It is hard to track these guys down. It's even harder when you co-host a morning show to get them to show up between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. So for Ron to give us time at all, let alone all of a sudden make an opening in his schedule since the morning didn't work out for him, for us to chat with him, was phenomenal.
Agreed.
Ron beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and now his kid is GM of the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So cool, the 920.
Circle of life.
Well, but how fascinating is that? I wonder if the Patriots organization and or fans have a bit of a sour taste in their mouth about the Wolf Tree, even though Elliott helped get them back there now. But there's got to be a time when they look back to that particular game and go, you bastard.
I don't. Listen, I'm not a Patriots fan. There is one. We know one. But Mitch Nellis is also a pseudo Patriots fan. But I would be surprised if they're focusing on that when they've had as many Super Bowl championships as they ended up getting after that with Brady and now being right back there. If they're focusing on the loss to Green Bay, I would say, hey, you need a cup of optimism in your life. Look at what you've had. My Lord.
Do you by chance have any left in a jug?
Yeah. Can I take any home? That'd be great.
When we come back, we'll give our final thoughts on Giannis Watch between now and 2 p.m. today when the NBA trade deadline is officially closed. The window is open. Are there offers? Are they listening? Or is there just things going on behind the scenes that we have no idea about? Will we be surprised, or will we have this conversation again tomorrow and go, okay, so we're keeping them. Now what? Is that an off-season thing? Is it for good? Or do we just frankly not know? We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Knicks out of the conversation. Where are we with Giannis?
Yeah, we're pretty much. I've been at 51-49 against a trade. I'm now sort of moving more towards 60-40 against a trade. Minnesota is still out there, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Minnesota's offer was as good as Golden State's. And if Golden State's offer is not good enough and Minnesota can't do a trade to improve their offer, I don't think Minnesota is realistic. That, in my mind, leaves Miami. Miami is making a sort of a player and sort of semi-draft pick offer. It's a decent offer. I don't think it's something that you would stop everything for Giannis. There's a couple of other teams out there that have shown interest. Cleveland has shown some interest in Giannis, but they are in this position with James Harden now where they've sort of picked the lane. Portland has sniffed around Giannis. They have the Bucks draft picks and draft assets from the Damian Lillard trade, but these are not compelling things. So unless there's a secret thing going on, I'm not feeling Giannis moving right now. And Giannis has not forced the issue, and that is probably going to be a factor.
Who do we believe and who don't we? And what do we know and what don't we know? Hours are left inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. That audio from Get Up this morning, Brian Windhorst going, meh, don't know. But really, Josh, have they known anything the entire time?
Well, and that's why, and I'm knocking on wood because as a lot of Bucks fans have been doing all morning long, they're looking at their watches. They're counting down the timers. If it's December 31st and the ball's about to drop, they cannot wait for the trade deadline to be done and passed so that we can all move on, at least for a little bit. But this whole thing with Shams and Windhorst, and you go back and you look at how the story started of Giannis is not happy. Giannis wants to get out of Milwaukee. Giannis is done with his team. It is on the Bucks to move him. It is not, no one's staying silent now. All of these things that we've gone through and we've seen. And so I'm not saying we're there yet, Bucks fans, but we are getting closer. We are starting to see now Shams having to walk back things going, the Golden State Warriors are no longer pursuing Giannis Antetokounmpo. Windhorst saying, I just don't know if there's anything there. I don't know that these trades are good enough. All of it dwindling down, leading to, again, after all the smoke, all the fire, everything that made this time different. Well, now we're going to believe the national media pundits. Now we're believing their sources. We are hours away from it still ending with they don't know nothing.
The problem with all of this is the smoke and the fire were from an electric fireplace. No real heat, just electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it seemed like this came on like it was a spark, and then it just got bigger and bigger. And before you knew it, you go back to Sunday night, Monday, you couldn't scroll Twitter without seeing people you'd never heard before saying, I got sources saying something big coming here soon. And then it was everywhere, everyone getting in on this. And we are hours away from all of that becoming another, probably the biggest in Giannis's tenure history of being in the NBA, nothing burger of a story.
And then let's just say he doesn't get traded. Can't wait to have this conversation between now and, I don't know, next NBA season, whether it happens or doesn't. Are they going to build? Are they not? All right, so reset. No official trade has been announced. Giannis's message has been very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be in Milwaukee, and he wants to win. Yes. Will those things come together? Maybe, maybe not. But he's been very clear on his message, regardless of whatever report was reported from whoever about him requesting a trade or saying I'm ready to move on or whatever the case may be. What we've heard from Giannis is that he wants to retire a Buck and he wants to win.
Correct.
There are even some teams questioning whether Milwaukee is really serious about moving on from him, specifically when some of these offers, finger quotes, have come in, finger quotes, and they have been ignored for the most part. There's been teams that have been dropped for weeks now. Knicks, Heat, Timberwolves, Warriors, Bulls got thrown out there for a hot second. And here we sit. with literally nothing to show for any of it. And as Bucks fans, and maybe more so as Brewers, Packers, Badgers, Wisconsin sports fans, how does that leave us feeling? It's the morning of. Here we are. We literally we would love to be able to tell you guys something, anything. We got nothing.
Nope. We got to wait. We got to wait until 2 p.m. But I will tell you this. We in the state of Wisconsin, besides the Packers, but that's just because of the way that the Packers have won as much as they have. But the state of Wisconsin, we're still used to being bullied by the national media, not getting the respect we deserve. And we've seen way too many players leave. It's become an expectation that a player isn't going to stay in Milwaukee, isn't going to stay when they have offers from places like Miami and LA and blah, 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 and New York. And Giannis stayed. Years ago, Giannis stayed. And he has had to deal with this, and he dealt with it. And there were a lot of people that said, man, this is it. I can't believe Giannis doesn't want to be here anymore. And good riddance. And I came on this microphone and I said, that's not it. Like, he wants to win. I'm not sure he can win here, but it's not that he doesn't want to be here. And Andy in Brookfield on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line brings up a really good point. He says, have you ever noticed how Giannis speaks differently to the Milwaukee media compared to the national media? It's because he hates ESPN just as much as we do in regards to these national
He can't.
guys.
There's no way he hates ESPN that much. Because if he did, he would have stopped all of it a long time ago.
I'm not saying, again, and I've had to do this a bunch too, I'm not saying that throughout this whole saga, beyond just this time, the last 7 times, that Giannis is innocent in all of this. But Andy does bring up a good point that in articles that are done by Wisconsin, local, Milwaukee media, he tells a different story. He talks about Milwaukee, the love for Milwaukee. He still tells the truth. He still says, I need to be competitive. I want it to be in Milwaukee, but I need to be competitive. That hasn't changed. But he doesn't say to them the same old, I don't know, I like being the villain, day to day. Those kind of one-word answers that you expect to hear from an ESPN or national media pundit. And then also, it's just, again, I don't want to jump. We still have 6 hours. So this isn't 2 p.m. yet. Something could still happen. But it definitely seems like we're going to get to the point where we're going to get past the trade deadline, and then we'll have to go through some of this again. But there are going to be a lot more factors that go into it. Other teams are going to have trades. We'll be able to find out, hey, Giannis, you going to sign that extension? Because if not, then the writing's on the wall. Then we know the Bucks are going to trade him because they're going to know that he's not going to be here for the next 4 years. That's a big deal. We weren't going to get those answers if he was traded before 2 p.m. today.
Local Wisconsin media wants to talk about how much Giannis loves Milwaukee, wants to stay a Milwaukee Buck, where the national media is going, yeah, but you guys suck. So what are you going to do about that, Mr. I want to win? Are you going to request a trade? Are you going to demand that they rebuild around you? Are you going to opt out when your contract gives you that opportunity? They're looking for more answers based on the NBA and the position Giannis is in now. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, media in general here wants to talk about how much we love each other, which I'm all in on. But the interview questions are two completely different things.
Right. But I think that's part of it, is that because he's local to us, we understand more of who Giannis is. We know that he also has a great passion and love for the city of Milwaukee. And the national media are looking at Giannis not as a person, just as a player.
Right.
And as Bucks fans, we don't. We know him as more of than a player, because we see the stories that the JS Online covers of him trick-or-treating with his kids, or having a funnel cake for the first time in his life at the Wisconsin State Fair, or any of these things that we've seen throughout Giannis's career that make him special to us and make us special to him. The Windhorse and the Shams of the world, they don't see that. And so all they're reporting on is the per source crap that ends up potentially, again, being the world's biggest nothing burger. And boy, will I celebrate that if that's the case at 2 p.m.
Jacob Intosa says on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk in text line 414-677-1250, as soon as 2 p.m. hits, I can't wait for Sham's tweet to say, well, Bucks couldn't work out a deal and we'll look to do it this offseason to save face. But is that saving face or is that just reality? I mean, there's truth to all of this, and the real hard truth will come when the facts come out, right? Whether he's traded or not or whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. The hardest part about this is that we as fans can't help but read into all of it. And we try to build our own narrative and our own story. And to all the points that Josh just brought up about who he is as a person, and yet we talked about this in regard to Brian Gutekunst's press conference. These guys are professional athletes that get paid a gazillion dollars to be at the top of their game, and they are the product. They are the tradable commodity. All of us are in our own sense, unless you sign your own paycheck. But even then, somebody's giving you votes of confidence along the way. You're doing something that's producing something. And at the same token, it's hard to remove the human side and look at this as a transaction of a product.
I want to answer a question here from Annie on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. She said, so I don't get why other NBA players don't want to come to Milwaukee and play with Giannis. If he's the best player in the league, is it about the money and not about winning? There's a lot of factors here, Annie. Okay, first of all, yeah, even if they want to play with Giannis, they also want to make a boatload of money. So those are factors that they weigh. The other thing is, though, if you don't live in Milwaukee and you don't know about Giannis's love for Milwaukee and you just hear the Shams and Windhorst of the world as a player, you would think, well, I'm not going to commit to Milwaukee for 5 years if they're going to trade him, if Giannis wants out, if Giannis doesn't want to be there. So these guys that might be looking at an opportunity to win a championship aren't going to commit to Milwaukee unless they know that Giannis is committed to Milwaukee. And that's the frustration. If Giannis is not saying, hey, I'm committed here, everyone come play with me, that makes it more difficult. If then on top of that, the national media is saying, Giannis isn't saying, hey, I want to be in Milwaukee, come play with me. He obviously wants out. So don't go play in Milwaukee. Wait and go where he goes next. Those are all factors on top of money that have played to why it hasn't happened. Once people are here, I mean, look at how the praise that Dame had for Giannis in the time that they were together. I mean, when he was asked about what his highlight was of being in Milwaukee, his answer was just getting to play with Giannis and see the type of player he is.
The hard part about Giannis's love for Milwaukee is that it has nothing to do with this. Literally doesn't mean a lick about this current situation. Nothing.
I think it means a little bit.
What? What does that have to do with them winning on the court or Giannis being traded and wanting to go win someplace? What does Giannis loving Milwaukee have anything to do with that?
Because if Giannis didn't want to be here, he could be like every other player in the NBA, more than any other league. Throw a fit, get traded. Absolutely, he could. He's not doing that for all the reasons he listed in that article with Jim Ozarski, saying, I don't understand why people keep questioning my love for Milwaukee and why I want to be here. My family's here. My kids' passports say Milwaukee. My dad is buried here.
But none of that has to do with basketball.
No, but him being traded, it has everything to do with him being traded and wanting to be here. It goes against, it refutes all the points from Shams and Windhorst saying that Giannis wants out, that Giannis does not want to be in Milwaukee
But that has to
anymore.
do with basketball. So that could be true as well, Josh. Giannis may very well want out of the Bucks organization based on winning. His love for Milwaukee has nothing to do with basketball. It's his love for a city. It's where he self-admittedly grew up. It's where he's raising his kids. I'm just saying all of the national reports about Giannis wanting out of Milwaukee means out of the Bucks organization because they're not able to provide the opportunity to Giannis in its current state to win and accomplish the things that Giannis wants to accomplish in his career. I just read into the whole thing about love for Milwaukee and go, then nothing else should matter. That's what he's saying. but two things can be true at once. He very well
You just
may
nailed it.
love Milwaukee.
You just nailed it.
And it
things can
doesn't
be
have
true at
anything to
once.
do with basketball.
Right, but you just nailed it. That's why it's important, and it is worth a lick that he loves Milwaukee and all of this, because it is part of the equation for him. If he didn't care about the city or his roots or the way that his life is set up right now here, he could easily say, yeah, this team isn't providing what I need. I'm going to go play elsewhere. He is personally taking what he has and his love for the city of Milwaukee into account in not making the decision to go and demand a trade, like the national media is saying that he, per source, wants to do.
When we come back, we'll get Rami's take. We cross over with our guys from 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff as we just sit and wait and suck our thumbs about what's going to happen with Giannis. Or we just live our lives and wait till the news breaks, and then we'll assess the situation at that point. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. Any other thoughts as we wrap up today's show and what we can expect from the trade deadline, 2 o'clock today? Will he stay or will he go? We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Our thanks to Ron Wolf for joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Such an awesome conversation with him. So looking forward to the Super Bowl again, very, very much so because of the Wisconsin connections. That's my life. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht, Inside Wisconsin Sports, welcoming in our guy Rami, 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Rami, is he staying or is he going? And are we just plain sick of wondering?
He's staying. I've been saying that from the get-go. And every time a Shams Charania or a Brian Windhorst reports that he's going, I'm that much more sure that he's staying, because that has been the trend and the pattern for 10 years now. You know what I mean? Everybody gets into a panic whenever Shams drops one of these reports or Windhorst drops one of these reports, and I go, oh, cool. That means he's staying. That's great. I'm glad that they reported that, because all they do when it comes to Giannis is be wrong. That's all that these guys do is be wrong when it comes to Giannis. So I hope in the offseason they start reporting that Giannis is going to be traded again. I really do. I welcome that. I hope that they start reporting again, that they throw this same old report in the microwave and heat it up again, that Giannis is open to going and playing and living somewhere else, and the Bucks are entertaining offers. Every time they do it, I'm like, great. That's great. I'm so happy to see that report, because that just means it's not going to happen. That's
Screw the microwave. I've heard
means.
the air fryer's where it's at.
Actually, yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but they're not even getting this. They're not even getting that take crispy. That's the problem. That's why you can't even say it's air fryer.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, he's staying. I've said that all along. I don't know if you guys have heard. I said on my show with John Kuhn on 9 to noon, if he's traded by the 2 p.m. trade deadline, and if HR and legal will allow me to do it, I'm going to do a whole hour of our show standing outside in my underwear and a T-shirt.
Not only did I hear that, but I looked into the weather. I looked into the laws. I've done some research on this.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Oh, I heard that and was, well, it's no different than me saying, if the Packers win the Super Bowl, I will eat crow.
Actual
on
crow.
The air.
He'll eat actual crow.
Nice.
Literal crow.
That's a good one.
And the first thing that somebody said to me was, you can't do that. Crows are protected. And I was like, they are not protected. Raise your hand in this group or anywhere. Who reads the regulations in the hunting every single year in the state of me? This guy.
I was going to say, definitely not me.
I'm aware.
So they're not protected?
No.
You checked it out? Okay.
No, they probably don't need to be eaten, though.
I was going to say, there's probably another reason why people don't usually eat crow. I think the saying came from...
Has nothing to do with roadkill, I'm sure.
People actually eating crow.
I mean, I see a lot of crows. There's no reason for them to be protected. Like, if we're protecting anything, I don't think it should be the crow. They're everywhere. Just go near a dumpster and you'll find a whole flock of them. You know what I mean?
Rami, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
So what does it say or do? Does anything change for Shams and how things are reported when this all comes to be?
No, absolutely not. Nothing changes, because NBA journalism is broken. And it's not just Shams, and it's not just Windy.
Take out the word NBA.
Well, no, actually, I'm gonna give props, because I don't just hate on ESPN just to hate on ESPN because we don't have the 4 letters attached to our station or to our network. I think their NFL coverage is really good. I love watching Inside the NFL and watching Dan Orlovsky and Marcus Spears and Mina Kimes, and they talk about football and break down football. You know what I mean?
But what about Schefter and Rappaport? Like, do you believe that they're above the reporting of Shams and Windhorst?
They're certainly more accurate. They certainly have a higher batting percentage than dude. The groundhog is hitting more than Shams and Windy are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hear me out on this for a hot second, though. Has Shams, and this is a genuine question, has Shams been inaccurate on his reporting, or has it just been drowningly futuristic?
I think that because people are like, oh, you think he's just making stuff up? I think Shams and Windhorst will take a whisper and turn it into a shout.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But is that inaccurate?
It's disingenuous.
They can make it that way.
Big difference. Big difference.
Yes, sure. There is a difference between inaccurate and disingenuous, but he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? That's the thing with me is, you know what you're doing. It's not like he's getting fooled. It's not like he's getting duped somehow and somebody is telling him that it's as certain as he is reporting it to be. You know what I mean? He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he's putting hot sauce on that thing when it comes out of the microwave. You know what I mean? He knows.
Yeah,
he
for
knows
sure.
what he's doing.
But that's his job, right? And so the hard part is he's getting the information that's accurate from somewhere, from someone. He's reporting it, and who's pouring hot sauce on it?
He is.
We are.
Well, no, because
No.
of the way that he reports it.
We're
Because
tasting the hot sauce and then going hot, 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 hot.
Well, we are, though. I mean, to Josh's point, that's true, right?
Yeah.
We're eating it.
But
We're
he's
eating
still,
it.
but he's still making it.
But that doesn't mean we have to eat it.
Well, I'm.
If you're just joining this conversation, what the hell are you guys talking about?
I'm spitting it right
Hungry.
back out to keep the analogy going. I'm spitting it right back
Don't
out.
like hot things?
No,
Don't like hot things?
Actually, I do. I love a good spicy dish. Ooh,
Spitting
buddy,
it
you
right
know,
back out.
I love a meal that'll make me sweat. You know what I mean? But when it comes to Shams and his reports, I told you when I see Shams or Windy report these things, I feel I'm more sure that Giannis isn't going to get traded because it's been. I'm not even kidding now. It's been damn near 10 years that ESPN has, through various reporters, has been reporting Giannis out of Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, and we're going to play a clip from Kendrick Perkins. I don't know if you guys played this
We
yesterday.
didn't. I wouldn't have been able to continue
I love how salty they all are that they can't manifest this, that they can't just report Giannis out of Milwaukee. You know what I mean? And you can hear it in their voices. You can see it in their faces, how salty and how frustrated they are that they've been trying to do this for 10 years and they can't. And now what I've noticed is, and this might be a turning point, it's not just people in Milwaukee going, these guys are hacks. These guys are frauds. They've been wrong about this time and time again for years and years and years. If you go on Twitter and they had to they had to hide replies.
I saw those
to Shams Charania's reports yesterday on Twitter because the whole basketball world is catching on to what these dudes are doing. The whole basketball world is catching on to it, and that might be the best thing to come out of all of this.
How do we tap into that passion and have it not be for something from Illinois? That would be amazing.
You just did. I'm all in on the Bucks, baby.
True.
Look at the hat. Look at the hat I'm wearing today.
The only reason why I haven't successfully traded Rami at the trade deadline today is because of his correct takes and positive attitude about this whole Giannis and Bucks situation. Otherwise, I was going back down to 6-7. I would say, hey, Chicago, a bag of beans. Like, we'll still get this Bears fan out of here. But he's got these good takes and correct responses to everything happening.
Listen, man, the only team in the state that I actively root against is the Packers. I got no beef with the Brewers. I got no beef with the Badgers. I'm all in on the Bucks. Like the only team I actively root against in this state is the Packers. And look, I was raised a Bears fan. Would you want anything else? It's the rivalry.
Yes, I'd like you to change.
I'd
like you to change your ways. Be better.
I can come on here and be a big phony, but that's not me. That's not me. I'm transparent and genuine in everything I do, especially the radio.
I could use a little bit more phony.
Rami Makloff, John Kuhn, 9 to noon is up next here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Those studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Once again, our thanks to Ron Wolf, former Packers general manager, for joining us on today's show. If you missed it, catch the podcast. We're inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. We'll see you tomorrow.
Because we're not done yet.